After a few weeks, my mind became restless, and I turned my attention to writing long, novella like emails to friends and family about everything I was experiencing. In the years since, I have revisited these emails numerous times. I finally decided to turn them into this book that you are about to read.
Hello, Orchard Archivers and retro travel buffs. No doubt many of you recognize that quote. In this episode, we have a special in flight treat for you, so sit back and enjoy the flight.
Thank you for waiting, ladies and gentlemen. We've invited first class. Now we're inviting executive platinum, emerald, sapphire, and ruby. If those words are written on your boarding card, please come forward for boarding.
I'm Kennedy Rizzo,
And I'm Cooper Lee.
and we're just simply excited to have in studio today someone who's been in the travel space for quite some time.
She is the host of Fly Travel Radio and the author of The People You Meet, which reached the summit of Amazon's bestseller list not once, but twice and counting. The incredible, well-traveled Melissa Rodway.
Yeah.
Hello. Thank you so much. So nice to meet you guys and to be here with you today.
Yes, the thanks is all coming from our side. Thank you for being with us.
No, this is going to be fun. I can feel it already.
So yeah, we have this connection seriously on travel. We briefly talked about it in several of our episodes, and you being the host of Fly Travel Radio, you obviously have a love for traveling. So, like, what really got you into that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say when we were very little in 1981, so I was 7, so now you know how old I am. My dad was a teacher, and we grew up in a small town about an hour north of Toronto. And he decided that we were going to go to Australia for a year. He got accepted into a teacher's exchange. So we basically swapped houses with another teacher in a very small bush town in rural Australia. It was outside of Perth in Western Australia. And so off we went, and we had a very different life. And in 1981, of course, this is pre-internet, pre-anything. So when you were going away, you were really going away. And, we quickly had Australian accents, and our school was in the middle of a rainforest, so we had to take like a pretty wild bush path to get to school. It was very, very different, and it was funny because I remember I'm the youngest of 3, so I was 7, my brother was 10, my sister was 11. I remember we were all crying. We didn't want to leave Canada. This was very dramatic in 1981. But in a very short period of time, we adapted very quickly. And then when the year was over, we cried because we had to come home. So I think that right then and there, you could see that you could find life in new places. My parents rented a camper van for part of the year, and so we traveled around a lot of Australia. It's quite big, so I think we went everywhere except the Northern Territory. And then we went to Bali, and in 1981 no one was going to Bali, so my hair was very white blonde at that time, and all the locals were giving us chocolate and putting their hands in my hair. And my
Oh
sister was,
no.
well, yeah, because they thought that I had some sort of magic, looking the way that I
Wow.
did. And my sister being very tall for her age, all the men wanted to marry her. And yes, it was quite wild. So those are my first memories of adventure. We also went to New Zealand. We did quite a bit in a year. Um, I guess it sort of stuck with me. And then in high school, I did an exchange to Belgium for a semester. And in my 20s, I moved around Canada quite a lot. I was pretty lost and just, didn't really realize that peace and home came from within. So I was moving all over the country trying to find something. And then I started to get the real travel bug in my late 20s. I went to Costa Rica on a trip that was pretty adventurous. And then after that, I was in. So that's my story in a nutshell. But I guess, I mean, I live a pretty normal life. It's just that I've managed to fit adventure in around a normal life, which is kind of good, I guess. So that's me.
Yes, well, we love the nostalgia of all that because we know with traveling so far back into your childhood, that really did give you a taste of something that some people, it boggles the mind. Sometimes we talk to people who have never really been maybe an hour away from where they live, like from where they grew up. So to talk to someone who's actually been all over, like
Hmm.
you've been pretty much on most continents for sure.
I have not been to Africa yet, so that is
Oh, okay.
like I gotta get there. That's on my radar. But yes, I have. I'm very lucky. I've been to a lot, but there are people out there who've been to way more places than I've been, that's for sure. But I'm very fortunate. I do know that. And traveling is a real privilege. So I'm very, very lucky that I've been able to do some things for sure.
So, would you say that when traveling back in the 80s, because of course you had to fly to get to Australia, and you think about how traveling now and flying now, what do you miss about the nostalgic way of just getting on a plane and, you could have an in-flight meal without having to pay hundreds of dollars?
I know.
It's a real meal
It
too.
was a real meal.
Well, I think that's an interesting question because plain food was actually really gross in the 80s. I did not like it. I was a kid, so that's what I remember, but it wasn't so good. I think it's a little bit better now, but yes,
Okay.
sometimes it depends who you fly with. Sometimes you have to pay, sometimes it's in the cost. I've been on flights recently where they didn't even give you water, and that was like 4 or 5 hour flight. And so I find it's all over the map as to what is included now and what you're going to get. But I would say, I think the real difference, and again, I was 7, so there's not a
Mhm.
lot, I can go off on how I survived any of that. But I think the real thing about traveling now is that we're really not disconnected anymore. I mean, I went on a 2-month backpacking trip when I was 18 or 19. 19, I was on my own. I went to Europe. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no insurance. I didn't know about Lonely Planets. I didn't know about guidebooks. I basically just bought a ticket and showed up. Luckily, I had a few family friends to stay with to help me out. But when I think about that now, I mean, I'm glad we had those experiences, but I think it's bittersweet. The internet has made traveling much safer. It's much easier to know where you're going. You can use GPS to find your accommodation. And, like, when you're stumbling around a city, not knowing where you're going,
Yeah.
you can find where you're going. So, all of that is a real help. But I do think that art of being truly away is over. You can send a text message to anybody from almost anywhere. You can always be
Mhm.
connected. I think that's very good, and I think that's also very bad. So I think that's the
Yeah.
yeah, that's where we're at. So yeah.
Yeah, there's always a trade-off,
Yes.
um,
Yes.
and sometimes it's appreciated, and then there's other times it's like, well, we do miss the good old days, but we are where we
Yeah.
are at this point, so there's not much we can do about it. Just keep plugging along.
Absolutely. And I think for women, we're very lucky. I think it's never been safer, right? I do a variety of types of traveling. So my preference is actually to go on my own in a like but with a like group travel. So you're not going with any friends or family, but you're meeting up with like 10 strangers that's organized, and it's not like you're on a big bus. It's usually very local grassroots type of travel. I really, really love that because when you're on your own, sometimes it takes the sting out of planning and making 8 million decisions by yourself. But I also will like go on my own for a couple of weeks here or there, wherever. I don't love being on my own for too long. I find that it wears thin after a while. So I do feel that the internet has helped women definitely in the travel world, just with safety and feeling like there's help out there if you need it. So that part's very good.
Okay, well, just real quick, this is just clip notes. I just went on my first cruise, me and my husband, back at the beginning of February, and taking us over to the port. There was this nice, she was probably a boomer, so she's probably like early 60s, mid 60s, lovely woman. And she traveled by herself. She said that's
Yeah,
the way she preferred it, but a lot like your experience, she really did appreciate meeting the different people that she goes on different cruises just for the camaraderie. And
totally. The camaraderie is huge.
yeah, which Coop and I, we're both kind of introverted. So, like, give us a good book and a good corner, we're happy. I mean, we like to socialize, but then you definitely need to recharge after a while. But she was like, I think one of the experiences was she had gone to one of the specialty dinings and she got iced out of, just going in solo. She kind of got iced out and she goes, I'm gonna go in the next couple of hours because I wanna talk to people. That's what I'm here for. I want to
Yeah.
visit. I thought
Mm.
that's nice that these vacations can provide that for people that are looking for a little bit of friendship, companionship, and all that good stuff. That's a neat
Hmm.
perspective, and we appreciate you sharing that with us.
Well, I think, when you go on your own, you are shedding a lot of, I don't know, like there's a lot of things that we carry around every day when we're kind of traveling in the same circles. You know who's going to come in and out of your daily life in your community or your job or with your family, your friends. And there's something very liberating about being on your own without anybody who knows you. You're more open to whoever is coming your way. I think we all come with judgments and biases. It's a natural part of being a human being, unfortunately. And I think that when you go away, you're kind of free of all of that and you're so much more open and interested as to whoever is coming along your path, wherever they're from, whatever shapes, sizes, ages. That is a real beautiful part of travel that I think is one of the reasons that many people do it. It's you have no idea who's coming your way. It doesn't mean that
Yeah.
you fall in love with every person you meet. Some people are extremely annoying that you meet on the road, but but
True.
you also do, more often than not, you meet like-minded people who get you in ways that people from home might not. It opens a path to conversations with travelers that can go in very interesting directions. There's a real understanding, and that is a real joy. That is one of the real joys of travel, I would say.
Yeah, because everybody is in the same location for one reason or another. And it's like, well, what brought you here? Like,
Exactly.
and some people I'm trying to lose myself. Some people, I'm trying to find myself. So,
Hmm.
then everybody converges and it is a nice step away from, as you mentioned, daily life because we are pretty much boxed in. Not that
Oh,
people mean to do it, but it does just naturally happen. So,
yeah, it's
yeah.
awful. Yeah, I think that's, the joy of not having a schedule. It's the unknown, when you go
Yes.
away. I don't know many people who go away and feel worse. I mean, you go away and suddenly you feel lighter, you feel like you can breathe differently, and you're often happier. I mean, there's something to that, of living a temporary life, of having a different schedule and having the unknown happen. There's a creativity and a freedom that comes with all of that, and it's very liberating for sure.
Yeah. Now, our brother and his wife, they love to travel as well,
Avid travelers, yes.
very much so. And they get heavy into trying different foods. Like they're not afraid to try things. Where do you weigh in on that? Are you someone who'll just try just about anything, or do you stick to kind of the basics you're comfortable with?
No, I'm no stranger to street food. I think the rule is for me and many others is if wherever you see the locals eating is usually where you should eat. I've maybe eaten I if you I know I think you've read my book. There's one mention of Pizza Hut that was very rare for me. That was like out of desperation.
Are all their songs about pizza?
Um So I don't do that. That is not really who I am. I would much rather eat locally. I will say that sometimes it gets tiresome if you've been in a place for a month or so. It can get a bit much after a while to not eat something familiar, but no, I think that's a real part of the journey. Sometimes you're taking a gamble, but I've rarely been sick. I'm gonna knock on wood here. I did have an episode in Mexico a few years ago that was very unpleasant, but
Mm.
you can get sick from. I know people who have been sick in luxury hotels from the food and people who have eaten street food and they're fine. So you don't always know where it's going to happen or when or why, but I do think the eating part is huge. It's a real pleasure part of travel, definitely.
Yeah, it immerses you more into the culture.
Yeah,
And that's a good tip. Yeah, definitely eating where the natives are eating because they eat every day. So, and they want to enjoy their
totally.
food.
Yeah, if you walk in and you see nobody, then you walk out. But if it's
Pretty good
packed,
indicator. Huh?
yeah, yeah, when it's packed full of locals, then you're gonna be just fine.
So, what method of travel would you say? Like between have you ever done a cruise yourself? Have you done anything like that?
No. I
No.
have done, I mean, I've been to the Galapagos, so I did like a few days on a boat there, and then I was on a sailboat in Croatia, but I have not made it to the cruise world yet. So, no, that is not on my radar, but never say never.
Well, I would say with what you've already accomplished, that's a win-win for me. I am not a Caribbean type person. Like I don't need the beach and stuff. So like doing something towards Alaska, an Alaskan cruise, that would be exciting. Or Iceland, of course. Also, I would love to do something as far as a Mediterranean cruise, but like
Nice.
the typical beachy, like Kennedy, she loved it. That's her jam. But I'm just glad she got to do it.
Oh, nice. So, Kennedy, where do you like beach holidays?
I do. I do.
Yeah.
Because our first trip was actually we had some good friends out in Hawaii, and we went out
Mm.
in mid-90s, and,
Mm.
got to stay there a month and a half, if it wasn't for our
Ooh.
good friends, I don't think that would have been possible, but,
Yeah, Hawaii's expensive, but that sounds amazing that you got to spend all that time there.
it really was, and that
Yeah,
was our first trip ever. We were like, "This is amazing. We
yeah,
can go anywhere on the planet. This is life."
This is heaven. Yeah. Well, it's interesting that, I think you go to some places and you feel an immediate connection and a feeling of, being home or belonging. And so sometimes you have to pay attention to those places that really speak to you. It's not always like that. So
yeah,
we're all built differently and different countries attract different people. And that's part of the fun as well.
absolutely. Ireland was high on the list, and we made sure we got to go there. We did do a bus trip over there.
Nice. Nice.
Again, it was nice because it was just Kennedy and myself. There was several people on the bus, but it was interesting because, the longer you are with them, the more familiar you get to be with everybody. And it was nice because then you didn't have to worry about, well, what side of the road do you drive on, and you got to see a lot of major things. Now, I would
Mm,
love to go back and do it again and go to spots that I really liked and spend more time there.
yeah.
Not necessarily do a bus trip again, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's like once we were bitten by that travel bug, it's like you wanted to move everywhere that you visited and you couldn't be away from home long enough. It felt like we were always on our way back home sooner than we wanted to be.
I know. Coming
But
home can be really awful. I have I think I cried once for a month after I got home from a trip. I was
Oh.
hiking in Europe. I did Mont Blanc, and it's a hike through France, Italy, and Switzerland. It's a loop. It takes
Ooh.
about a week. And I cried the whole way home. I cried for weeks after that because it was very hard to come back. So, yes, I totally understand. And everywhere I go, that's all I ever say. My family, every time I get home, they're like, yes, and let us guess, you're moving there.
Well, you sound like Cooper, Melissa. That's how she is.
Yeah, I think that's part of the fun, right? It's fun to
Yeah.
fantasize about a life there. And maybe that's as far as sometimes that needs to go because, life is life wherever, but it is really
Yeah.
fun to imagine a whole different way of being in a different country. That's for sure.
So, I needed to ask, you were in Australia and also Costa Rica. Those
Mhm.
places are very notorious for snakes.
Mm.
Did you ever see or run into any of some of the popular breeds of snakes there at either place?
I don't remember seeing anything like that in Costa Rica, and I did like an adventurous tour there. I did it with G Adventures, and if anyone's listening, they're an amazing company that you can do a lot of different types of group travel with. So we were zip lining and hiking volcanoes and riding around in jeeps and horses and whatever. It was really, really fun. So I don't remember any snakes there. However, in Australia, my mom told us one day that, well, she didn't tell us this while we were in Australia because she didn't want to scare us. She told us when we got back to Canada that one day she was home, we were at school, and a massive snake went through our backyard.
No, no, no!
No.
So
Oh
that
my
was, I'm
goodness.
sure, for her very scary. We did, though, have spiders. So
No!
when we got to the house, and I have a very good memory, so it feels like yesterday, even though it was almost, well, we'll not talk about how long ago it was, but it was a long time ago. When we got to the house, because the house that we were staying in, that family had come to Canada first, so we spent some time with them, then we went to Australia. So their house had sat empty for at least probably 2 weeks. So when we got there, the house was full of spiders. These are like huntsman spiders. I believe that's what they're called, but I don't want anyone emailing me saying that I got it wrong. But they're like big, furry, like the size of your hand spiders.
Oh,
And they
wow.
were all over the ceilings and the walls everywhere. And my dad has never killed a spider in his life, I'm sure. And so right from the beginning, he was, and they won't hurt you. These spiders are, they're like the Australian version of a common house spider. So, we right away, like, I think the first night we were like, oh my goodness, what are we doing here living in a house of spiders?
Right.
But from the get-go, we put the glass over them, slid the paper, took them outside. That was a part of our life. And then they would be in the house like frequently, but it was became the norm, and that's how we dealt with it. We did have a dangerous spider on our shed. It was a redback, so they're black spiders, but they have a red circle on the back and they will kill you. So we did have that, and my dad eventually removed it. So we don't know how or when or where or what or how, but that was scary. But
His
we
best
just,
kept secret.
yeah, exactly. But no
Wow.
snakes. I don't remember seeing a snake in Australia, but I might have, but maybe I blocked it out.
Okay.
So were you glad that your mom told you guys later?
Oh, yeah, definitely, because we were pretty wild, like, I mean, Australian kids, where we were, it was 1981. The kids, we lived in a very small village. Like, wouldn't even call it a town at that time. It had not a lot there. Like, maybe it had like a little mini mall. So it was small. And the kids, they never wore shoes. Like, they had tough as nails feet. They were like running across pebbled driveways. And
Mm. Mhm.
my sister had friends that would show up in our driveway on horses. And I remember my brother and sister, my mom wouldn't let me, but my brother and sister went out like on a sheep farm one day where they're chasing sheep and they're like running like we it was a wild time. So yeah, they just wanted us to keep that freedom and that spirit of play. So yeah, they didn't
Nice.
tell us. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
So, as far as like entertainment from back in the 80s, was there anything that was particularly stood out to you being that you were,
A Gen X, a
yeah,
fellow Gen X.
yeah.
Yeah,
Is
the
there any
best.
like group or music or movie, anything that really stood out to you back
Back in
in
the day, like
yeah.
about that's relevant to travel or just in general?
Yeah, just in general.
In the 80s? Well, I love the 80s. I mean,
We do
ev-
too, yeah.
yeah, like you take me, I'll go to an 80s, 90s dance party anytime. Although, you know what I don't like is when they don't play the full song anymore. Like, what is up with that?
Mm.
I want to hear it all. From the 80s, I mean, I loved Madonna
Okay.
and, but from Australia, we had like Men at Work. Those, my brother and sister were big into Men
They
at
were
Work.
They
good.
were good.
Yeah, and I still to this day love Men at Work. I know all the words to, their the hits. And who I remember back then, Adam Ant was big for us when we were in Australia. But yeah. I love that. I mean, when people get in my car now, they're like, it's 2026, right, Melissa? Like all my music is from the 80s and the 90s, to be honest. So yeah, I'm a big fan. What about you guys?
Oh, yeah. I would have to say, like, Phil Collins is one of my major go-tos for the 80s. Genesis, Phil Collins. I don't know. Did you ever hear Mike and the Mechanics? That was
Of
another big one.
course.
Yeah, they're awesome
Yes.
too.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Huey Lewis and the News, remember them?
Sure do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Cyndi
good stuff.
Lauper, loved her. I love it all. I loved Queen. Queen was like huge for me, and that they're well before the 80s, I think. 70s maybe?
I think they did get started in the 70s.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, but now we look back on our life and it's like decades past and it's, all the good music's in the past. I mean, there's some good stuff now, but the movies, travel, like it's
Yeah.
lovely to look back at your life and you do have an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the thing about adventure is it doesn't have to be travel. It doesn't have to be
Right.
getting on a plane. That it's actually doesn't it's not cheap, to travel. So it's
True.
not for everybody. And I think the thing about adventure is that we sometimes equate it with these big experiences. And I think that's really sad. As much as I've done quite a few things and I love to talk about it, I also really like to stress that your life doesn't have to look like my life. My life certainly doesn't look like some people who are having a seems to be a very fabulous life. You have to find what speaks to you in terms of your own adventures. And that can also just be exploring a hobby or going to a new city or, taking a pottery class. I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
adventure doesn't have to always mean like big ticket items, and I think people get
Right.
lost in that, especially with social media. I mean, social
Mm-hmm.
media is a blessing and a curse, but more and more I think it's a curse in many ways. And we see, especially in the travel world, there's a lot of people out there that look very beautiful. They have the nicest travel clothes, the best backpacks, equipment, and gear, and they don't even look like they break a sweat. And they've got all this makeup on and fake eyelashes and like that is not me. I'm very human and very normal. I look terrible. I've been wearing some of the same clothes for like 20 years,
Yep.
probably, if not longer.
That's us.
And yeah, and I wish more people would just be honest about that because it's also not all rainbows and butterflies. It is hard work. It can be really scary and really lonely. as well as really beautiful and wonderful and magical. It's like life. There's highs, there's lows. There's moments when you're like, I'm so happy to be alive. And there's moments where you say, why can I not be at home watching Netflix? So this is the way it goes. And we're sold a story that is not entirely true. I think that can deter people from feeling they're not good enough to do a trip, or they're not fit enough, or they're not like brave enough. And it's such BS, because it is for everybody, and we don't all look like models out on the road. We're just normal people. And so I could go on a rant for this for the full hour, but I will stop. It's just really like something I feel very compelled to speak about, because I don't want people to ever feel they're not good enough, or, that they can't do these things because of what they're seeing out there.
Very true. And as you were talking about that, a lot of those people have a crew of people that travel with them to make them look so good, right? These
Oh,
influencers, they have an entourage.
yes, they do. And some of them who don't, like, they're equally as I traveled with two women, I'll tell you, in Bolivia in 2023. They were influencers, and I just got thrown into a Jeep with them.
No, no!
And they drove me crazy, because it was all about them. It was like they always did, like, influence our, well, there's the word, but they our schedule was always changing because they needed more time to take pictures and the right angle and this and that. And they were not hired by this company to do any promotion. They were there for their own purposes. But for the rest of us, it really impacted our experience, our joy. And it's also, I don't know, there's a part of it too that it's like, it's so fake, because they're just, they're getting these perfect moments, but it's not telling the story of really what's going on for me. And I'm not saying that I'm this wonderful person in travel. I'm just me, but I have a really hard time with people who are, the second they see something, they're posting, they're writing. How do you even know how you feel about it? So for me, sometimes I don't even post things until I've been home for 3 weeks, because I'm like, I don't know yet how that affected me. I don't know. I don't want to do that in the moment. I want to be in the moment. And when I'm ready to talk about it, I will talk about it, and I will tell you what it was like for me. So that even rolls into this book that I wrote, because that happened 15 years ago. I just put out the book in 2025. Even when I edited it, I was still learning. I was like, oh, I didn't know that that's what this experience did to me. I had to marinate in that. That's why this book has done like pretty well for self-publishing, because I think I didn't put it out within seconds of me doing it. I had to sit in it and understand what the lessons were and what I got out of it. So that's another rant I could go on.
Well, Melissa, we have truly enjoyed having you with us today. Thank you. We are so privileged to have your company today in studio. We really do appreciate it. Um, we do have a question to ask you. As far as our name, it's Retro Truck with the Caramel Apples, or is it Caramel Apples? Just curious. Are you caramel or
Yes,
caramel?
I'm caramel, but I've always been like, who are these, like, retro? What does this mean? So please tell me, what is this all about? And do you say caramel or caramel?
We say caramel.
All right, we're friends. I knew we were friends.
Yeah, the whole thing is this is what we do. Like we are, besides our husbands, we are best friends, right?
And your sisters?
Yep, we're sisters.
Oh, awesome.
And we have just this is what we do. We talk all the time. And just prior to pandemic, Kennedy was like, we should do a podcast. It's like, oh, a podcast. What is that?
Yeah, she had a little
Awesome.
freak out, a
Yeah,
mild freak out.
I didn't really know what that was. I mean, I'd heard of the word, but I didn't really know what it was. So she educated me on it, and she'd listened to a few of them. So it's like, well, we talk about stuff that we love from the past all the
All the
time.
time.
So, we were like, let's just invite people into our conversations. We talk about, like we said, music, movies, travel.
Share family memories,
Yeah.
from when some of these pop culture things like hammered us. We're like, yeah, we remember those kind of cartoons or movies,
Oh,
music, and
yeah.
Yeah.
so
Oh, yeah. Okay, and what's the caramel apples part? What's that all about?
that's the two of us
Yeah.
Ah, okay, okay. I like that.
and our
That's
realm is the
awesome.
retro orchard.
That's right.
Oh, that's so nice. Oh, okay, I got you. Sorry, we didn't talk about movies. I know that we have to go, but my favorite movies from that era are St. Elmo's Fire
Ooh,
and
yeah,
The Breakfast Club. Do you remember that one?
we do, and we actually just did a show on that one 2-3 weeks ago.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, isn't it the most fun ever? And, well, sadly, When Harry Met Sally, I love that movie too.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. That's a tearjerker for a lot of people.
Oh, well, now more than ever. But yes, yes. Oh my gosh, I love that era. I love those movies. So much fun for sure.
And we
Absolutely.
love you, fellow Gen Xer. You have made our
Oh,
day.
Gen X. I know. We need to stick together, the Gen Xers, don't
We
we?
do. We
Mhm,
do.
mhm, mhm. Well, I love your sisterhood. That's so very, very nice. I mean, nobody knows you better than a sister, right? So good for
That
you
is
guys.
true.
And you're enjoying the podcast?
We are. We love it. It is not even like it's not even effort,
Yeah.
We feel like it's another day in the life and push pause and do this again tomorrow. So it's a lot of fun. It's a dream come true actually.
Oh, cool. Why did you, well, not why, that's a silly question, but these are such awesome names, Kennedy and Cooper. Your parents named you guys some strong names. What, does your brother have a strong name too?
No, he does not have strong names. Our nicknames for him are a little he'd probably have
Okay.
to have a little chat with us. So we'll spare him his dignity this time.
All right, fair enough. But I love your names. They're so cool. They're very powerful. So,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
yeah, that's good. Yeah. Mm. Oh, thank you. Okay, go for it.
You have inspired people through your journeys and made them want to make more memories through travel, even if a bit more uncomfortable at times, just simply for the growth. And nostalgia is anchored on growth and living or traveling through the good and bad, but looking back, remembering the highlights. So,
Nice.
Yes,
Thank you. Appreciate that.
you, Melissa, have done that. Do your book. Let's say the title one more time in case any of the listeners would like to go grab a copy of that. It's again, the Amazon's bestseller 2 times on the bestseller list. The People You Meet. And it's been our privilege to meet the infamous Melissa Rodway, fellow Gen Xer. So,
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you so, so much. I loved meeting you. It was a great chat.
yes, maybe we'll get to talk again very soon.
That would be awesome.